I can tell this is going to be an interesting day.
Postal 2. The wonderfully offensive and fun first-person shooter developed by Running with Scissors that triggered so much controversy that it led to being banned in New Zealand, Sweden, and 11 other countries including Australia, where purchasing the game for personal use is now a criminal offense, punishable by up to 10 years in prison and a $50,000 fine. Like many people, Postal 2 is what introduced me to the Postal series and more importantly Running with Scissors as a developer. It's goofy, it's stupid, it's gross, but most of all, it's fun. So, loving this game so much, I just had to ask, where did this all start? Well, obviously in Postal 1. So I headed over to the Steam page and bought the game years ago, but never played it until now. Obviously, by looking at the screenshots, it's very different, it's much older, but I'm excited. So, let's get started and boot up the game. Let's see what Postal 1 has in store for us. Okay, so right off the bat, it's not at all what I was expecting. It has a very disturbing and dark art style, very different from Postal 2, which I love, by the way. I love the tone of this game. I live for this dark, disturbing shit. It's just not what I expected. It's also humorous in its own way. It just isn't over the top humor like Postal 2. It's a very subtle kind of dark humor. To some, this isn't really humor at all. It's just violent and gruesome, and if this came out today, it would probably get an adult rating the same way that Hatred did, because it's basically the same game. Hatred was actually supposedly inspired by this game. Although, whereas Hatred is all about mass genocide of innocent people, it's kind of hard to really say what Postal 1 is about. The only thing we get is a quote by Postal Dude before each level and one ending cinematic. There's a theory that Postal Dude is schizophrenic and believes the world has a disease and believes he's saving everyone by killing them. Apparently, if you own the physical copy, it had a player manual that came with journal entries from Postal Dude that seemed more sane and even worried, unlike these loading screens, and it gives more insight as to what's going on in the story. But the CEO of Running with Scissors, Vince Desi himself, said this on the CyberDen interview.
Well, to begin, in the very first level, when the Postal Dude is introduced, it's not a definitive statement that he is insane, okay? Because the storyline goes that basically the police came, it was the old banking housing crisis, and so he was defending himself. It begins in a defensive nature. It is true that Postal 1 ends with the crazy asylum scenario. But that probably would occur to anybody if they killed as many people as you could kill in Postal 1 and make it to the last level. Unless you were some, maybe a terrorist type, but generally speaking, you could get through that game and kill 1,000 people. You probably need a little help at that point.
If you play Postal Redux, though, it has both versions of the journal entries. However, I played the original. Also, Running with Scissors got in some controversy with the Wall Street Journal because the Wall Street Journal said Postal was a game to kill children. And that's just not true. It all stemmed from this one ending cinematic.
we put the last level in there as a schoolyard because at the last level, when you see the schoolyard and you're thinking, oh my God, is this really a schoolyard? Like after I fought my way through everything, including the Air Force Base, ostrich farms, downtown settings, suburbias, all the coal mines. But what happens is you go to use a weapon and it jams. You switch another weapon and it jams. So we specifically designed it to show you this humble level of children playing.
But to be fair, it was a cinematic. It wasn't you controlling it.
Right. And the point is, none of your weapons work. Why? Because we wanted, I would not allow that to occur. And then what happens? You're arrested and you're spun into the asylum mode. And so to me, that was the moral of the story.
So anyways, back to the game. There's really not much I can say about it. Pretty much everything violent you do in Postal 2, you can do here, to a smaller scale. You can kill everyone if you please, but it's not required. You only need to kill the hostiles. But you can if you want to. You can blow people up.
Hell.
Set people on fire. It's simple and it's fun. Plus, it just feels good to hear Rick Hunter's voice in this, and you'll notice they reuse some voice clips in Postal 2. It's pretty short, you can get through it in a day, and there's not really much more I can say. It's just a simple twin-stick shooter that you can even play with your friends. But I still had a lot of fun with it. I'd say get it, but if you get it, get Postal Redux, it's the more definitive version. I still plan on getting Postal Redux even though I already own the original simply because I just want to support the company. Running with Scissors has become one of my favorite game development teams, so I plan on supporting them on anything they do. Postal 4 is currently in early access, so I really want them to do well. Real quick, before this video ends, I want to share Vince's thoughts on hatred on that same interview since I brought it up in this video. And thanks for watching.
Personally, I was very honored to see that a company would use what we did almost 20 years ago as their inspiration. What do they say? Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Having said that, it's not really for me to like or dislike or judge or not. I'm a big believer in they made it. They have every right to make it. They should be able to sell it. And I just don't believe in censorship in any way.
Has anyone seen my